Hello there and welcome back. In this video, I will share with you what came to me literally as a revelation that came late after endless pain and countless discouragements, but finally gave me hope that I could finally crush stage fright for good and be free of its debilitating effects. What a relief it has been, and what an incredible feeling of freedom. Today I want to start talking about an incredible monster called stage fright, or performance anxiety, if you will, in public speaking. I say I want to start talking because I will have many vlogs on the subject that will be spread over the course of the following months. As you probably suspect, this is because there's tons to say on the subject. The fear of public speaking is the biggest jailer in our society. It keeps people from contributing, thus limiting their influence on the world surrounding them. In that jail, you will feel guilt for not speaking when you should have, for not sharing your knowledge when it was needed, for not supporting your team with your vision, for not leading when people around you needed guidance, for not standing for your values, thus feeling you lack courage. And in all those situations, the biggest victim is yourself. Indeed, you will make it impossible for the world around you to see how competent you are, or see the wisdom you have, or how much you care for them or the organization, or see the level of your contribution, or your fundamental values, or your true worthiness. So stage fright, performance anxiety, fear of public speaking, fear of crowds, fear of being in the spotlight, all refer to the same fearful experience for the majority of people when asked to speak in public. Thus, studies have shown that in many cases, people fear public speaking more than dying. It's really that big, that bad, and it affects people from all walks of life. Indeed, I've seen CEOs, medical doctors, members of social groups, politicians, policemen, air pilots, athletes, lawyers, teachers, sales professionals, managers, accountants, construction workers, professionals in psychology, dentists, all literally paralyzed at the idea of speaking in public. So if you experience it, welcome to the club of normal human beings. You are not alone. Many years ago, when I started doing research on the subject, because I was a performing musician, heavily suffering from stage fright, I was amazed to discover that almost all performing musicians suffered from different degrees of it. Many classical musicians got as far as taking medication, prescribed medication to control the effects. They take beta blockers, a drug normally given to cardiac patients. I'll talk about their effect a little later. And I discovered that the subject, and I'll say the same, was true among the folk and rock musicians. It seemed that everyone kept it as a secret. So much, it led me to believe I was alone suffering from it, or like a rare species. I thought I was a weird case, and it made me feel even worse. Stage fright or performance anxiety is a plague that limits people from responsibilities they would love to take, promotions they have been dreaming for, growth in their business, exercising leadership they have so much potential for, influencing the society they live in, or on subjects that are important to them, bringing their significant contribution to the world, significantly increasing their income, helping and supporting others, transferring their experience and knowledge when it's so important and needed, winning the support and approval of peers, fellow citizens, team, clients. Now, the biological response to stage fright or fear of public speaking is called the fight or flight response. This is when the body goes into a state to be able to fight or flight in front of a scary situation. It's biologically driven. and comes from a time when we had to be on a constant lookout for our survival. When the danger was a wild animal and the situation was life-threatening. It has been studied extensively, and its psychological and physiological effects are well known now. The fight or flight response was nature's design to allow us to run, climb up a tree, or fight for our lives. Thus, it makes the blood flow predominantly to the larger muscles, the heartbeat and breathing go faster, and the breathing is often shallower. Other common physical effects are sweating, parts of body and voice shaking, dry mouth, nausea, need to go to the bathroom, blurred vision, sensation of dizziness, just to name a few. Among psychological effects, there are negative thoughts, as in negative internal dialogue, distractions, feeling of impending doom, memory blanks, trouble concentrating, feeling of panic, feeling of loss of self-control, and in extreme cases, out-of-body-like experiences. And believe me, this is no joke. I was such a bad case of nerve wreck that I've experienced it during a live music performance. But most of these intense physical reactions to danger have been there serving us, ensuring our survival for millions of years. The problem is that our brain can have the same kind of reaction in front of different fears that have nothing to do with our survival. This comes from what is called the reptilian part of our brain, and it doesn't make certain important distinctions, it seems. As soon as the fear about failing at something that is truly important to us, or about losing the face in an important situation, or about the possibility of hurting ourselves physically or psychologically, the brain is likely to go into a fight or flight response. And of course, this happens at lightning speed, as our lives depend on it. Or so does our reptilian brain thinks. So it turns out that what was so well adapted to an ancient need, survival in the wild, is now preventing us from performing well, playing music, loss of fine motor skills, body shaking, loss of breath control, etc. Or giving a speech or talk, shaking body parts or voice, memory blanks, loss of breath control, dry mouth, trouble concentrating, memory loss, panic, heart racing, blurred vision, etc. So now you realize that all the effects produced by the fight or flight response are the last things you need to perform well, to perform in a relaxed and enjoyable way when speaking in front of an audience. And to make things worse, the major problem is that if you allow the fight or flight response to kick in, then there is little you will be able to do to save your life, public-wise speaking. And here's why. And this has been a major discovery for me. Indeed, it has given me so much hope in being able to finally control and crush the beast. So picture this. From the very start of the fight or flight response, there is a rush of adrenaline secreted in your bloodstream. This hormone is responsible for most of the aforementioned physical and psychological effects. And here's the catch. I discovered that once in the bloodstream, even after the adrenaline rush has ended, the effect of what's already in your bloodstream will last for the rest of your speech. That's an hour or more. I remember going through a serious episode of stage fright in a music performance. During the entire show, I tried every trick I had learned and read about to calm myself down, thinking that, okay, next song will go better. I know my stuff. I'm breathing in deep now. I'm going to get back in control, but to no avail. This hormone was too powerful and had already invaded my entire body, and it was now in control. When I discovered that I was simply crippled by the terrible effects of that hormone, and that no matter what I tried, the rest of the performance would be a nightmare. I changed my approach. That's also when I realized that the belief I had that I was unable to control myself in a performance, because that's just how I was totally wrong, not true, and that millions of people had the same problem and belief. What a relief it became for me. I now knew I just had to prevent this adrenaline rush from happening beforehand, and I would be okay. What a difference in perspective. Suddenly, there was hope. So my next step was to find and study every technique that would be reliable, effective, and easy to apply to prevent these adrenaline rushes. Thus, severe stage fright. There had to be a way, and I was then on a mission to find it. I had personally been such a severe case of stage fright in music performances and public speaking, and had tried so many methods that did not work for me that I came close to throwing the towel. I also discovered that tons had been written on the subject, some with great value, but a lot had less value than the paper it had been written on. I even doubted I was curable. Was I too stubborn? Did I have such a big head not believing or trusting many methods would work for me? Did I believe I was so different from all others that I would need something so different too? Was I too analytical? And did I want to know and utterly understand all of the whys and hows before getting any result? Was it a combination of all the above? I don't know for sure, but I will confess here that I believe it was a combination of many of the above. Let's just say I was the kind of candidate that would have been a huge challenge for any psychologist. So that's it for now, as I'm out of time, but I will come back with a lot more material on the subject. So if you don't want to miss what's coming up, I invite you to click the subscribe button. And if you like what you discovered so far today, click the like button to help me reach others like you who care about their public speaking. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.